My name is Rob Skeoch, and I've been a professional photographer all of my life. For the last while, I've gone back to shooting black and white film and enjoying black and white film and time in the darkroom. Recently, I had a chance to go to a place called Hilton Falls. It's a conservation area in Milton, Ontario. It's usually very busy, especially with fall, with the fall colors and the leaves and all that. Now, the leaves are mostly down, and I went on a Monday, so it wasn't as busy. If you go on the weekend, there's people enjoying the waterfall and enjoying the creek and playing around, and they're having fun, but they're always in your photos. So going on a Monday was a little bit better. And again, as I said, the leaves were already down, so there wasn't too many people around. And when you get there, it's about maybe a 3K hike, so maybe an hour hiking with your gear to the most picturesque area of the conservation spot. Now, when you get there, there are people kind of coming and going, and funny, they hike all that way, and they come in and they see the waterfall, and it is beautiful. And they do a selfie, and they're gone in a minute. They don't even look around. They don't even kind of enjoy it. They just come in, do their selfie, and off they go. So interesting, I found anyways. So the place itself, as I said, it's about a 3K in. There's not really any color left, so it was really like the leaves are down. It was just about the rocks and the water moving over the rocks. Now, when you get to the falls and you climb down these rocks and down some stairs, and you're kind of at this viewing area, this is where everybody takes their selfie right here. Now, when you get there, I'm shooting with a 50mm lens, and you're kind of tucked in a little bit underneath the rock. So on the right-hand side, you're underneath the rock, and then the waterfall is there, and on the left-hand side, it's lit by much more open sky, much more open. So when you get back and you're in the darkroom, this left-hand side is quite a bit brighter than the right-hand side.
So today I'm photographing at Hilton Falls. I'm using Delta 100. I'm using the 50mm lens. I'll meter off of that white area in the water. I'll meter off of the rocks. See what we get.
Now I'm metering with a spot meter, and I'm metering the white of the water. So right where the white is, either where it lands or right at the top. And I'm metering that with a spot meter, and then I'm opening up 3 stops. So I'm saying this is going to be white. It's going to be white with a bit of detail. Now, I also experimented a bit off some of the rocks. So I metered a bit, as you see where the waterfall drops, there's some lighter rocks to the right of that. And I thought, well, that kind of looks like mid-tone. So I'm going to meter off that. And both of those meter readings kind of gave me around the same thing. So maybe F16, F22 at about 8 seconds. So you're using Hasselblad, 50mm lens. 8-second exposure means you're going to pre-fire the mirror to stop any vibrations, and then you're going to use the like a cable release to actually fire the camera. And with those kind of long exposure times, I shot some at 8 seconds. I shot some at 15 seconds. So again, this first angle is the standard angle that everybody kind of gets. And when I got in the darkroom, again, this was with Delta 100 film, so I'm shooting Delta 100 ISO. It's 100, but I'm shooting it at 64, and I'm processing it at about 60% of normal, just so that the whites don't get out of control. No detail on the whites. So in the darkroom, when you make your first print, okay, that's fine. You'll notice it's too light on the left-hand side. That's the open sky, kind of a more lit area. So I'm going to burn that in on the second print. And then I thought, after making the second print, okay, I like it burnt in on the left, but I need to dodge a bit on the right just to get a little more detail in the rocks themselves. So on my third print, I've burned in on the left, and I've dodged the rocks on the right a bit. And that kind of gave me a satisfactory print after 3 prints. So what I've done now is I've moved, and I climbed down a few more rocks, and I got to the actual creek, and I crossed the creek, and on the other side of the creek there's an old remnants of a mill, some stone structure from this mill, And I tried to work that into my photo as it was coming on the far left of the photo. Now, you have to go up this little hill there, and you're on a slant, and it's wet leaves, and it's rock and wet leaves, and you're with a tripod, and there's not a lot of room. So it's not a great spot to be. It's a little bit hard to really get the angle that you want. But photographing with these rock remnants in the foreground and the waterfall in the back, that was my plan. And I focused right on the end of where the rocks were, where this structure was. So that's the focus point, and I'm hoping that the depth of field will cover me to keep these rocks in focus and to get the waterfall itself.
So I'm at Hilton Falls, and I'm trying to get the old mill remnants and the waterfall in the same shot, so it gives you an idea of what we're looking at. So I shot a couple of frames. I'm an F22 with the 50. I shot a couple of frames on Delta, maybe like 8 seconds, and then I did a couple of frames on Pan F, 8 seconds, 15 seconds.
So in the darkroom when I'm working with this, it was too light on the left and too dark under the waterfall. So I burned in the left-hand side. It's again open sky a bit more, and dodged a bit on the right to dodge these rocks so you had a little more detail. But by the second print, I'd kind of had the exposure figured out, and I had the burn and dodge. Could I make a better print? Yeah, I could make a better print, but it's I'm just having fun and playing around, so I don't need to make a great print at this point. Now, I did switch films, and I started to move a little bit to the right. So I'm still on this hill, and I'm still trying to work this structure, this remnant, these stones into the foreground. But as I'm kind of moving to the right, I'm losing that ability. So my second position on this side of the creek, I still had the rock formation in, and still focusing there and dragging the shutter for the waterfall. And a similar situation in the darkroom. So again, you've got to burn in on the left and dodge the stones that are kind of under this overhang on the right-hand side. Now what I've done is I've moved to the right, and I'm basically standing in the creek bed, and there's not a lot of water flowing, so you're not getting soaked, but I'm standing in the water, and at this point I can't really keep the remnants of the rocks in the photo. It's just too spread out. They're kind of way over there on the left, and the waterfall's on the right. So I kind of left that composition and recomposed, just concentrating on the waterfall itself. So again, with the 50 mil, I've got these rocks in the foreground, the riverbed basically, and then the waterfall. And this would be probably an 8-second exposure, F22, keep everything nice and sharp. And in the darkroom, easy to print. You burn a bit on the left, you dodge a bit on the right, and away you go. Now, I did try a couple of other different spots in this area. I kind of worked my way through it, maybe thinking this rock would be good in the foreground, and then there was some driftwood, and I put that as a foreground and leading lines, but none of that really worked. So it was a good attempt, but in the end, it didn't really work out. But the picture just of the waterfall, I'm pretty happy with. It's easy to print, slight burn, slight dodge, easy to print. And I felt that I'm making progress with the control of my negatives. Again, I haven't shot too much with the Hasselblad. This was the first time I've been using this 50mm lens. Starting to get used to it, starting to feel that I've got control over my negatives. I'm making a print in 1 or 2 pieces of paper, so that's kind of all progress. So one thing I did learn on this shoot was that the 50mm lens has a different filter size than the other lenses I have. So the other lenses are a B6, B60 filter. You get an adapter so that you can use 72mm filters on that. So I do have that adapter, but they won't fit on this lens. This is a bayonet 70, so I've had to order a bayonet 70 to 77 filter adapter so that I can use my orange filters in that for the sun. So again, when you go out shooting it with a new lens, you learn new things about it. This is the 50mm lens on a Hasselblad. This is the 503CX. Basically, it's my backup Hasselblad. but I wanted to get out and shoot with it and see how it worked.